Good morning, afternoon, evening. Maybe you're watching from Europe or something like that, and it's evening. I don't know. But, anyways, you guys, it is good to be together. It is Friday, and I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be here with you, and I'm excited that I got this computer a second. You always have to have a backup, and then you need a backup to the backup, right? Because I went on my normal situation, my normal computer in the studio just a minute ago, and I was like ready to get on, start chatting with people, and then the camera wasn't working. The computer wasn't picking up my camera or anything like that. So I switched it up, and that's why you need a backup to the backup. Well, good morning. Hello, everybody. Refresh your browser. Doug is there to give people advice. I love it. Good morning, Laura, Shannon, Janice, Betty, Darla, Sherry, Suzanne, Pam, Frankie. Frankie, I love it. I'm gonna actually have to. You'll probably have to write in your real name every time. I just see you say, I hope Jed talks about the winter challenge. I need another boost. Okay, I will talk about the winter challenge. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. In fact, it's going to be 2 paintings by me, 2 paintings by Diana. And oh, look, I've got a friend on my chair. That's Edison. He's probably going to try to tear down the blinds behind me. But yeah, I'm going to do the first painting. Then Diana's going to do 2 paintings, and then I'll do the last painting. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Man, you'll love. I'm thinking I've seen one of Diana's, and it's awesome. It's a super cool scene. I'm not even going to tell you what it's about, but it's really cool, and I know you're going to love it. And if you're just joining, I'm just talking about the winter challenge that we're going to be doing in December. The month of December, we'll have 4 little paintings to do as kind of challenge paintings, and there'll be some prizes for we'll choose some winners from the challenge at the end of the month, which will be really fun. But I'm thinking my paintings also, I think you'll enjoy. I think you'll enjoy them too. Really fun. One of them was especially kind of meaningful to me when I painted it, because as you may know, my father-in-law is really close to death, and he's struggling with cancer, and pancreatic cancer, kind of destroying all sorts of, anyways, don't need to go into the details, but the scene that I painted was actually from their front yard, and I took the picture a couple years ago, and it's a beautiful winter morning, and yeah, really fun to paint. So anyways, you guys, it is fun to be together though, and we've got another really cool scene today, and I will explain a little bit more about it as we jump into it. And I really appreciate you guys' prayers and support, and just your hearts being with us. It's been hard and really sweet at the same time. I mean, meaning, thankfully, we have time to spend together and spend with him. Renee has gone up a couple times. I've gone back up once, and Renee's going up again next week. And, there's a lot of different ways that we can die, right? Like, you can die in a car accident, and you don't ever get the chance to say, I'm sorry, or, like, I love you. I'm sorry. You don't even get the chance to say, I love you either, right? Like, you don't get the chance to say anything. It's just a tragic, sudden ending. And so, that's the blessing of this time, is that Renee's dad his family is able to come around, and people. It's been really amazing. I mean, honestly, I think I mentioned this last week, but letters, emails, visitors, people coming and telling stories and just expressing how much his life has meant to them. And it's really, really a beautiful thing. You just see a guy that's humble, but he's been consistent and faithful, and he's made a difference in a lot of lives, more than he would ever even imagine. So this next scene, I've loved seeing some of your guys' work on this one. It's a little bit of a complex scene, isn't it? Anybody say, like, it's weird because it's not like complicated that much, but a lot of angles, a lot of lines, a lot of things like that. So I knew that it was going to be a bit of a challenge, but I knew also that you guys were up for it. So without further ado, I am going to get this started. Anyways, let's do it. All right. So here we are looking at this reference photo. I think it's a pretty cool scene. I took this picture at a rental of my dad's. My dad and mom have a rental, and these people had moved out, and my dad was over there doing a little bit of work, and I was over there. It's a mobile home, as you can tell, with a lean-to over it, and this was the mobile home that my grandma, my dad's mom, lived in before she passed away. And so there's some sentimental value here, especially for my dad. He's very connected. But what I love about this is all of that, plus the lighting. Going out at night, the way that these lights interacted was really interesting, because you had this cool, almost greenish blue light outside that was set against the warmer light from the inside. Then you had my dad's old truck there, and the shadows that kind of fall down from that. I think it were just fascinating, the lean-to, all of this. And so I took the photo. I took a bunch of photos that night, and I was thinking, oh man, this would be such a cool nocturne, I think. We'll see how we can do today. But that's the goal. That's the idea. What I'm going to do with the actual image that I'm going to paint from is, you can see that I cropped it down. Mostly, I just took off the side on the right. And so, and then I actually brought the colors up to where they were when I was looking at it in real life. It got a little bit washed out in the photograph, but that means I added a little bit of saturation back into it. And other than that, it's mostly just cropping it. So yeah, I'm not sure if there's too much to explain. I thought I was pretty happy. Even though this warm light is way over here on the side, I think it'll still contrast with everything else. I'm going to try to make sure I don't make it distracting, because it is right up against the edge. I like the idea of a square format, even though I could have kept it as a horizontal or rectangle. This is what we're going to work with. So I've got my work cut out for me, because I'm going to need to actually draw it out. So I should get on that. I'm going to grab a color, any color. It doesn't matter to me right now really what color, but I'm just going to grab this purple kind of color. And this is an acrylic paint marker. And I'm just looking for the places where things disappear. And it's very hard to see, but that line of the very top of the roof goes out somewhere like in like close to that corner. But we don't, it disappears up there, so we don't need to really worry too much about that. But this is giving me a little bit of a reference point. Then this, okay, I'm just trying to find some marks that will help me. That's probably about a third of the way over. and to about here. This is this one post in there. And then there's another post right here. Probably probably more like that. This wasn't how I was thinking about this when I was looking at it. I was actually imagining doing it's kind of imagining doing like a little color wash on here to start. This is too wide, I know. This is way in the right place. And then the light, I think this is over too far. I think that needs to be in about there, and the light needs to be about right here. That light is down here. Sorry, not there. Move fast enough, it looks like you can erase these markers a little bit. And that comes down. It's going to come over maybe and we've got this truck. Now this is complicated. A lot of lines here. This is not an easy drawing for sure. There's a lot of stuff in here. And if you know me by now, you know I'm for the gist of it. Does it feel about right? I am not looking for perfection. I'm looking for getting the picture like it makes sense, right? That's kind of the way I roll. And there's a mirror here. That's kind of cool. I like that. And this stuff back here, edge comes out. And then the actual motorhome is back here. It kind of hides behind that. Comes over here. And this is where these lines, this one needs to be smaller, come over. Then you've got a window, actually a door right in there. And that thing, something like that. This is kind of more even, Steven. And it comes down. And the grass, it goes up there. So there's a lot of lines, a lot of things in here, and it is important. This is where drawing is helpful. It's hard to, go over every. There's a 4 right here on the back of this thing. I don't know. I'll probably put a little bit of that in because I think it's kind of fun. But drawing is a little bit like nothing out here except for some trees, and I'm gonna actually add in, there's a tree there, and there's actually another tree like in this area I'm gonna put in because I think it'll help make some fun stuff to look at, like a little table or something there in here. And there's random things that comes over about this height actually. This comes out. There's shadow. So yeah, this is gonna be tough. I mean, the actual drawing of it is, there's lots of little things in here. Oh, there's a little air conditioner out the window. Lots of little stuff. Lots and lots. Man, I feel like this is too high up, but maybe it's okay. Just need to get... I'm gonna get a little sense of motion here with this road. Hopefully. Okay, I think that's good enough. Please forgive me for not being better at drawing. But what I wanted to do, honestly, this is what I was telling you, I was thinking about earlier, was how could I start this with just a little bit of fun? Like, I kind of want to get a little bit of color on here, but I think I'm going to add in a little bit of green just because the light is so green. Now, so much of this painting, oh man, I don't even know why I grabbed all that white in there. I think it was just a habit, because I didn't want to get white, at least not that much. Okay. So, I'm going to come in. Better reestablish this tree back here. That's one thing. A little bit. And this tree over here. And man, it's very interesting. I'm coming with the darks right now, the stuff that's the darkest in the painting. And I'm just gonna grab it where I can. Even though we started on black, I went over it with the light kind of pink marker, which may not have been the best, but it's okay. And then we did that colorful color in there. So I have to kind of come back now and bring back some of the darks. So I'm mixing up. This is, oh man, guys, I'm just honestly, I'm just squinting. I'm looking. I'm trying to see where things are, and I'm simply just trying to make the best brush marks that I can. I see these, like, the stuff. The weird thing about a scene like this is that there's so much it's honestly not that colorful, right? It's like, it's kind of muted colors, and so this is the bottom side of that beam. I'm gonna have to put in actual color for this light, and this, I feel like it's, this light here is actually, like, I probably shouldn't have put that warm color so much, because it's really more like white, and then right around it there's this rim that to me looks like a phthalo green and white. I mean, maybe I put the orange in there because I was afraid it would be too cool of a color or something. I don't know, but this is really more of what it looks like to me, is like phthalo green and white. And there are some things that kind of radiate out from it, like this area, but a lot of times I'll do this later in the scene, so I don't have to do it right now. But just trying to get myself to have a reference point for a very light area so that I can know how light I need to make like that reflected place. Okay. Then I see a lot of that same type of color all throughout this painting. Like, honestly, a lot of stuff that's kind of touched by the greenish light color, like this whole thing there. And this is pretty similar here. And I just, like, I know when I do this kind of thing that I can tend to get really tight and caught up in lots and lots of details. So I'm intentionally trying to move with big brush strokes and not worry too much if they're all perfect. Just getting the idea here. Trying to get the idea. Also, I'm trying to make the light a little bit brighter in some of these places, like that would be maybe a little bit closer to that. You know, these these windows are very interesting, like louvered windows. It's kind of this thing where I just think definitely not that weatherproof, but they made them in an interesting way. There's like another, it's like there's a set of single pane panels that you can put also on the inside, and so it kind of creates a double pane window, but it's two separate pieces of window. Kind of an interesting way. And then down at the bottom, I'm going to mix in a little bit more red, because a little bit more yellow. I see kind of more, it looks a little bit more like an orange color down there. I don't know, I'm just kind of guessing. It's all looks fairly similar in a lot of ways to me, but I want to have some differences here, so let's make it a little different. One of the things is in a scene there's a lot of dark in a nocturne, and so you're working, a lot of the painting can be kind of like squished up values. It doesn't have to have a lot of really light areas, or there's like just a small amount of really light stuff, and a lot of it is going to be smaller transitions between mid darks and darks, and even as some of the colors are a little lighter, it's just, you see a little bit less in the whole overall scene. So it can be kind of tricky. I mean, I'm just trying to like kind of cover up some of that road down there. Obviously, there's a few sparkles on some of these rocks, and then as it gets back here, it's lit up more and more. Then we get into some of the area that's going to be more green, brighter green. I think that I need to figure out exactly where I have the transition from the gravel to the green grass, because I think that I've a little confused on it in my drawing. But the thing I love about painting like this is you just control where all the light comes from, and man, I don't know. It's just it's an interesting way to paint. Painting nocturnes. This was a fun trip. I actually went over with my brother and nephew-in-law, I suppose is the correct way to think of him. But we came over, did some work. Dad was there. We actually dug this big ditch. Really fun trip, though. Now I can reestablish where some of these shadows are, some of these darks. Put a little bit of light on that tree back there. You remember there's a tree, just to show it's getting hit by some of that. And then let's see, I've got 3 brushes out. Trying to keep them kind of orderly. This will be one that has a little bit of gray on it. There's like wall over here. Board goes up, and we'll just exaggerate that it gets left there. Again, to show that it's closer to that source of light. Sometimes I see it more clearly than others. Sometimes you get the idea, and then you just, a lot of what I do, paint. This little bit of line goes up, and then it kind of just disappears up there. So I'm going to let that disappear. There are other rafters that come down. That was not a very good job how I did some of that, but we'll see. need to work on this. I guess my line here is probably pretty bad because this line is so steep. Probably screwed that line up. Go back on that a little bit. Like that. A little bit. The line. Grab some dark. Okay. I need to clean out these brushes. Okay. Trying to think about I think I'll work on this truck for a second. I definitely screwed up on the height of that truck, man. Okay. Let's see if I can fix it. And come down here. Probably like that more. Okay, and here's those cool shadows over on this side. I'll need to work on that, of course. But at least looking a little bit more proportional, I think, than it was. And put a couple marks on the side for where this getting touched by the light. And this bumper comes around that. I'm thankful to have that down a little bit lower though, because there was a part of that that was bothering me a little bit earlier. Just I couldn't quite figure it out. I couldn't quite see it. But I think that that'll help. Okay, I'm just doing the background over here. There's a lot of dark back there. But up here, we're realizing this, more like up here. The light hits in there, right on the gravel. Some of that is pretty light. Comes down this way. It's a little bit cooler or a little less bright. Another really bright area over here. And then it's quite a bit of grass still that I haven't really put in. Let's grab some more green, mix that up. And just trying to pay attention to where the light hits, where it's coming in from. Just because it's a nocturne doesn't mean there's no color or light. It's just different. It's just kind of gotta, I don't know, kind of figure it out as you're going, like how much of this light is, I mean, actually in the scene. Sometimes we get our brain ahead of our eyes, and we know that that can be problematic. So you always just go back to what are your eyes telling you? What are you observing in the scene? Not what do you think it should look like, or what does your brain already know about a certain subject? But really, what are you seeing? What does it actually look like? And that's where I'm going to now, is still just trying to observe. As the grass goes up higher up here, it gets less bright. Over here it's kind of the same. And get another smaller brush. You know, you kind of got to decide how much of the details are you going to put in? How much do you need to put in to convey the scene the way you want to convey it? And like I said earlier, I am a little bit too much on my brush right there, but it might work out okay. I am generally a fan of not overdoing it. But that doesn't mean you don't put any small marks in. You gotta figure out what are the marks that will make the difference, and what are the details that will kind of help the most. And you don't know, sometimes you just take a guess. You hope for the best. I can see that, like, this line coming across the top of this needs to be straightened out a little bit, but it also probably could use a small amount of somewhat highlight on it. Oops, I put my finger down. Finger had a bit of white paint on it. And another thing I need to put in is this little bit different color for this bumper. Okay, and there's a couple small nuances on the back of this truck. Like, that was way too red, but I was trying to show the light. Didn't do a very good job of it. And I think that, like, there's something about the back, very back of that is wrong. Back of this something here. I think that I make this side thing a little bit smaller. Couple dots of red in there that we'll have to see if we like. I just took that one out, but okay. There's a bit of dark over here on this side with that's better, I think, a little bit better. Yeah, I think I see. I think I can see. I think that this should be back a little further that way. I'm just making small little adjustments to the placement of these posts on that side because they're just off a little bit and it's making the whole back look off. It's like there's not really any other way to say it because it's just not really like that complicated or anything, but it's just that the drawing was off, and yeah, it was just kind of making it hard to see, at least from my vantage point. You just see some things that were bugging me, and I feel like that has made a bit of a difference. Like it's not necessarily, well, I think it's better. I think it's better. Just okay, I'm gonna walk away from that for a minute and give it a little chance to give me a chance to look at something else and come back. Grab some more green. There needs to be a little bit more transition from where it's lit up to other places where it's not as lit up. And yeah, let's see. I'm gonna try to bring in a little bit of texture into this gravel area. I think the color on that bumper is too bright green. Need it to be more muted. Just a little bit, hopefully a little bit more like metal. Still have quite a bit of green on my brush. And I think that's a little bit more subdued and nicer. Okay. What are some other parts of this that need some attention? Okay, let's go up here. We're gonna make some marks. Big, bold brush mark. Back. Let's see. I should make that with my darker color, darker paintbrush color. And then there's an air conditioning unit that sticks out right here. And I know because I put that in. I know it's an air conditioning unit. I know where I bought it. It was one of my first projects over there when my renters moved out. I'm not sure. Probably have to come in and do a little bit more nuanced brushwork or color gradations in here. Not like black right there. But this. Okay, and let's see. This same thing kind of going up here on this. It's the colors, the angles were not quite that representative of what it really needed to be. Yeah, I'm like, the more that I'm looking at this, the more that I'm just, yeah, we just kind of need to get rid of most of that orange back there. It's not actually helping. It's kind of okay probably for some of the background, but it's not really an accurate color to the scene, and so it's actually a little bit confusing, I think, if it's too prominent. If it's just in the background, I think it can work. I think it can be okay. Okay, let's see if we can do that mirror on the side of the truck. Mirror, mirror on the truck. And make a couple rafters. That's what I'm trying to do. Show the difference between some of the. Let's see. I'm I kind of, in the back of my mind this whole time, have thought that I would make the sky in the background kind of a blue, like a color kind of like this. I'm going to go back there and just see. I'm not sure if that will work or if it would be better to let it be black. I don't know. Don't know if this is working. But we probably won't even really be able to tell until later, because maybe if I bring it down, it could tie everything together. I'm not sure. I think I want to get rid of a lot of this yellow back there, though. That part I'm pretty sure about. Let's see. Okay, what if I mixed up a color for orange and did something in this window on the right? What would happen? Let's see if I can get that curtain in there. And maybe even this handrail. Not side of the stairs. More muted color. Definitely needs more color there. This is the place where you kind of want to think about what you're doing and say, is that enough detail or does it need more? And you need to make the decision for yourself. What did you guys think about this photograph? It's a little, I'm sure that some of you did not really like the idea of painting this at all. I get it. There's a lot of you that would never, ever, ever choose to paint this. And yet, I'm sure that there were a few of you, at least a few of you, that thought, no, go for it and try it out. And you liked what you did better than what you thought you would. Others of you were frustrated or, I'm sure, challenged and didn't like it at all. But maybe after you see this, you'll say, you know what? I don't want to give up on that kind of nocturne, and I don't want to give up on a scene that I might not have chosen, because I see that there is some beauty there. I maybe didn't draw it out really as well as I wanted in my painting, but I can see that there's hope in any scene to be beautiful. I hope that that's what happens for you. Even if you don't choose to paint a scene like this in the future, I hope that you're game to give it a shot. I'm cleaning out some brushes again. I'm wiping them off, and then I'm gonna give them a rinse. And I'm gonna come back and kind of see where we're at. What is going on with this painting? What can be improved? I still need to put in some stuff down there. But you know, what I would say with it is that generally, I think that like the main part of the scene, like this area, I kind of like it. It looks to me like I put my finger down quite a few more times and made some marks there, but overall, I think the scene is working okay. Just thinking about grabbing a little bit of some kind of color here, putting in something that kind of might resemble a little bit of a FORD. Again, I think whenever I'm putting my finger down, inadvertently I keep forgetting that I'm bringing a little bit of white with it. So let's see. Oof. Okay, you guys, that's not the end of the video, but I wanted to jump in here and just answer any questions because there's about half an hour left. I actually keep going on this for quite a while longer. And so I know that some people will drop off kind of as time goes. So I just thought maybe we'd take a minute here and I could answer any questions that you have. If you do have any questions, I'm going to just put this back up to pause it. And let me just see something. Oh, that's what I meant to do. There we go. So you guys can at least see it still. Yeah. Okay. So if you have a question, type it in the chat. And if I don't see any questions, I'll just keep playing the video. But like I said, there's probably 20 more minutes at least of the video. And I just thought we'd take a minute to answer any questions or, anything like that. I think it's a fun painting for sure. It's like definitely kind of challenging, in some ways, the drawing, the angles, things like that. But I think night scenes, in some ways, they're more forgiving than other scenes, because it's kind of simplifies scenes down, and you can still see the colors, you can still see things, but it also simplifies the colors. Usually it kind of like just, I don't know, I don't really know, but the values generally are grouped together. There's a lot more values that are grouped. And so okay, I was asking about the bright light at the edge of the painting. It looks good despite it being against the rules. Oh, would you put some flecks of orange elsewhere? Oh yeah, I think because I have a little bit of orange in the background, there is a little bit tied in with that. I don't know if I put any more around besides that. And I looked at it at the end, and I thought about it, and I was just trying to figure out, is this distracting or not? And I kind of came to the place where I didn't think it was distracting, at least enough to make a change to it, because I think you still have the brightest light and the strongest contrast away from there. So I feel like it just kind of all works together. How do you know when to stop or not go into detail or edit what is very important? That's the hardest thing, because I feel like in some ways I could be pretty close to stopping, and obviously I keep going for a while. And the main reason is there's just some parts of the painting that they're not done yet. But they say, one of my favorite quotes about this is that Richard Schmidt said that it takes two people to paint, one person to do the painting and another person to wrap them over the head with a stick when it was time to stop. Because I think a lot of times it's easy to keep going. But what I do, I have a general principle, and it's that if I can't think of something specific that I'm doing that will make it better, I try to stop for the moment. And I find that the time away, when you step away from a painting, generally gives you fresh eyes, so that when you see the painting again, you can notice the things that are out of place, or maybe a little bit off, or could use a little bit more clarification or improvement. And so I hope that is the most helpful thing. The other part that I do, and I don't think it's really good to paint this way, but I do it frequently in my painting process so that I can keep the design the main thing. And that is that I will squint my eyes at my painting. I squinted at the reference photo, but then I also squinted at my painting so that I can just see, am I getting the main thing? Is it still the main thing? Hope that helps. By group values, I mean, if you go back to Amy Erickson's painting last week, it might have been even easier to see. But generally, the whole painting was dark, like the entire painting. And then there were just a handful of lights and areas that were somewhat light. But most of the painting was grouped down. Like the values were like the darkest dark, which was almost black, and then just a little bit lighter, a little bit lighter, a little bit lighter. But it wasn't spread all the way through the value spectrum. Okay. When doing nocturnes, do you usually start with your dark values and then go in with your light values, then midtones, then details? Is it helpful to put in the darks, then lights to guide you? Lori, generally I paint a nocturne on a black or really dark canvas. And I generally will work towards the light because I want to make sure that the tone of the canvas is dark. The feel of the canvas, you know. In this one, I put on that little bit of, it was almost like a sunburst around that light. You know, I put on a little bit of yellow, a little bit of orange. And that was actually more just an experiment. I've never done that before in a nocturne, but I was thinking, well, maybe it would work. And I think it worked generally, but as you can see, I'm kind of going back over it because I didn't like the orange as much as I thought I might. So yes, I definitely will start with my darks. And by starting with my darks, I even mean I'll paint the whole thing dark or purple or something that's going to really set the tone for it being a nocturne. Okay. Okay. The left side of the truck bed seems to be behind the wall in the painting where the reference photo shows it in the front. It might just be the way that it looks right now, but it's meant to be in front. It bothers me that the shadow of the truck rack doesn't line up with the light. Yeah, actually, it's something that I think I change. Are you finishing the roof line? I think that I do more with some of those angles and some of the different like roof structural things. Maybe some orange in the truss across. Yeah, I think that those are, you guys are just making suggestions in some of those. So would you say that the truck evolved to become the focus of the painting and that caused you to purposely give it a little more detail? Well, I actually think that I gave it earlier on in the painting, I worked on that truck for quite a while. And because I worked on that truck, it really kind of became the focal point. So I almost am saying it backwards. It wasn't, or maybe that is what you are saying too, that it just happened. And then I wanted to make it look right. So I kept adding more detail. Yeah, I think that was the part of the painting that was the most intriguing to me from the beginning. So it wasn't that I didn't think that the truck would be the focal point at the beginning. I actually kind of intended for the truck to be probably the most significant part of the painting. Okay. Okay. The angles confuse me on getting the right. How do you do it so they look real? The angles confuse me. Oh, yeah. Hi, Sandy. So, I mean, it's definitely, this is the kind of painting that would not be a bad idea to grid out, you know, like your canvas and your reference photo so that you can make marks that are really accurate and just get those lines where you want them to be, because it's a little bit tricky. You know, you're just looking at different objects, and yeah, the perspective is not super easy on this one. Okay. The photo has a green cast. Is that due to the light bulb color? Yes, it is. And I don't know what it is I don't know what kind of light that is exactly, but I've gone outside every time I'm there at night, and it's a very green hue to the light. It's interesting, and it does create a really cool contrast with the inside lights because they're much more warm. Could you use a projector? Of course. Yeah, Ron, you totally can. I generally, you know, Diana has said it this way once. She said, if you want to work on your drawing, don't use a projector, right? You know, if it's something that you need to grow in and you want to work on, then do the work of drawing it out and working on how can I accurately draw. But if it's something like I've had paintings before. I mean, I remember doing some really complicated city scenes in the past, and it was like I could spend 3 hours drawing out on a big old canvas, but I thought I'd rather project it onto the canvas and then spend those 2.5 hours. Like, it still will take me probably half an hour to draw it out, but then I could spend 2.5 hours painting and be that much further along in my painting process. So I've used projectors in the past, mainly for what I was saying, is to save time and just kind of like, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to work on the painting process. I don't care. I'm not here to prove a point that I can make this city scene. I can draw this city scene on my giant 4 foot by 3 foot canvas. That's not where I was at that moment. Where can I find more information on Brian's Canada Challenge? Okay, that's a great question, and I'll answer that real quick. We're going to be opening the doors for that. I'm looking at in a week, 22nd. So in 1 week, there'll definitely be more information about it. But essentially, just the general information would be that Brian Buckrell is doing a 52-week challenge, and all of the paintings are based in Canada. So he wanted to call it Paint Canada, and he takes many reference photos from his journeys over the years, and he from BC to oh man, the eastmost province. He just goes province by province and kind of works his way across Canada. So it's really cool, and for many reasons. He's a very loose, impressionistic painter. Also, you probably know that if you've seen his work. But if that's something that you want to grow in, I think that this is going to be one of the best challenges for you, because he's that, like, he's maybe one of the fastest painters I know, and one of the boldest painters I know. So anyways, that's all that I can say about it. I'm going to move back into this, guys. And I'm going to stick with this, and I'll be here at the end also. I'm going to answer this last question. I just saw this question come through. Can you talk about the light circle you started with? I think I mentioned that I did it it was a little bit like an experiment. And so I did that little bit of light, and I'm going to keep working on that, because there's parts of that area that I think I still want to cover up more. But I'm going to get going here again with this. So we'll see you guys at the very end. Thanks for being here. Yeah, it's pretty. Man, I don't know exactly what I'm doing, because I keep touching things on accident. I don't even realize that I'm doing it, and then I look back and there's some weird mark. Okay. Well, I'm really feeling like a lot of this has got the feel that I want. So it's going to be, can we pull it together with a few small details? We pull it together with these little odd objects. I'm not sure. Hope so. I might have to delete some of the weird objects though. You never know. Sometimes. I mean, I like a lot of this painting, guys, just so you know that uh, I've been in pretty solid problem solving mode like a lot of this painting, because this is tricky. This is like real tricky stuff. So if you have battled with this painting or struggled or something, just know that this is a tricky painting. It's got its beautiful parts, and that's why I wanted to paint it. But it definitely is a challenging scene because there's a lot of perspective in here. Honestly, I should have written a warning up for this. And maybe I'll provide a alternative reference photo or something. I don't know. We'll see if I can think of something in time. But yeah, I'm just looking at it going like, man, I commend anybody who has tried this and given it a shot, because it's a real painting. The kind of scene that takes a lot of work. I just darken up the top of the sky. My hope is to kind of keep our eyes down lower. I'm going to try to bring in a little hint of more detail in here. More detail without showing more detail, really. That's what I often am trying to do. The idea of more detail. Like one more clue for the viewer without really doing too much. I'm going to close off this corner a little bit here. Add a little bit more dark in. Same kind of thought here is push the eye that way. What I find sometimes with scenes like this is there's a lot of random stuff in here, random weird stuff, but a lot of times it you can keep it random and weird. You don't even have to really show very much, and people can kind of fill in some gaps in their own minds a lot of times, and you don't have to get into all the nitty gritty. You don't have to like explain everything. And there's a lot of freedom once you kind of figure that out. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can just put a couple marks that kind of look like such and such object, right? And people will actually do the work themselves, and they'll kind of put two and two together, and wow, I don't have to draw that whole thing out. And then you'll look back and you'll think about other paintings that you took hours and hours and hours kind of like showing some particular part of a scene that you realize later, oh, I didn't need to take all that time and all that energy to could have just hinted at it, and people would have put it together. Because people are a lot smarter than what you think. And our brains are actually real, they enjoy the challenge of like a puzzle and putting a scene together and going like, oh, that's cool. I can't see that whole object there, but I can tell that it's this. And our brains kind of like that. So you actually make a painting more fun and interesting, and that's why it's a painting and not a photograph. Yeah, it's getting closer to a place that I could feel like I'm done. There's a little bit of kind of erasing that I want to do, like some of the pink down here that's still showing. Even over here. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna put a couple brushes away in the water for a second. Clean out one. Thinking about making a couple brighter marks with the yellowish orange. Again, without hopefully making it too distracting. This Really like the contrast of the cool light out here and that really vibrant warm light from inside. Okay. Get out one of those other brushes again, clean it, get some white, and let's make this light light as possible. Like that. Get it a little bit more green. See what we can do. Need it to be more green so it's not quite so big of a contrast. Hard. Don't even know if I should be doing this, to be honest. But I saw a couple of these rays coming out. And where's a paper towel? Quick. All right, I almost forgot about that one. That one looks a little bit weird. Okay. I think it's kind of working. I mean, he's kind of. Small adjustments to it now. I'm kind of squinting, kind of stepping back, kind of looking at everything. I think there's probably a little bit of room to bring up the values of a couple other areas. Oh my gosh. I did not see that. See if I can erase it. Mostly, I think I did. Funny. Funny, funny, funny. I think my lines on the shadow are a little bit off. think that's better, but a little bit hard to see. It's maybe. I mean, the angle's definitely better, but yeah, let's grab a little bit of this lighter color. I keep messing up these stupid little areas. Okay. Big picture. Big picture. What's going on? This table here that I'm putting in. See if I can do it. This felt like that little area right there could use a little bit of something to look at, or just something kind of interesting. Oh, I'm seeing if I can do this. The final touches. Let's see. Stepping back and looking at it. I am still a little bit kind of like, I don't really like this yellowy orange color kind of coming through still in some of these places. So I'm just still kind of deleting a little bit of it, but that's probably enough. I actually just was thinking that it's probably a good thing that some of it is still coming through because of that window. The window that's got the orange and yellow kind of light. It probably helps offset that window a little bit. Could be something else in the scene that similar. Okay. Trying to tie in again, tie in outer edges a little bit. I say tie in, but sometimes it's just getting rid of some of the black and putting in a little bit of color. Switch brushes again. Yeah, actually, if I step back and I'm looking at this, I think it's real close. I think it's pretty darn good. I actually like it quite a bit. Yeah, it's interesting. There's a variety of color, but you can tell that it's a night scene. And who doesn't love a good night scene? I think there's a lot here. I hope that you enjoyed painting this scene. Like I said at the beginning, I know that it's a little bit of an odd scene to paint, but there's beauty in everything. And I hope that you had as much fun as I did painting it. And I hope that even if you didn't enjoy your go around of it, or maybe you haven't started it yet, I hope that this gave you some inspiration of a way that you can approach it. Of course, I started with black canvas because it's a nocturne. Put on that orange color, which I ended up almost regretting. I don't think I'd say I regretted it, but as I look at the painting now, I think it came together. I think it did. So now you can go paint a scene of your own. You can paint this one, and hopefully you will have a way to approach it, and you can see some beauty in a nighttime scene, even if you don't think that it's necessarily a beauty scene. Thanks for joining me, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. You are loved and believed in. All right, so we finished, and so I'm gonna stick on here for a little bit. You guys are so welcome. Thank you for joining today. It was fun. I hope that you did enjoy it, and I know that sometimes I think about it and I go, man, maybe it would be better if my maybe I could make it more straightforward. And I think sometimes that the demos are more straightforward. On a one like this, I feel like I was problem solving a lot. So I hope that there are parts of that that are actually encouraging for you, that you can see not everything goes the way that I want. And if there was anything that I really would hope you would get from learning from me, it would be that one, never give up, just always keep going. And with that, kind of coupled right with that, is a true belief that you have what it takes, and that you stay encouraged. And then the third part would be the actual skills of observation, which I think are the most important skills that you could have. Because when I get into a painting like this and I'm trying to problem solve, I'm simply looking back and forth, and I'm really carefully observing and trying to see, like, what is the difference. And when I'm mixing colors, I'm really just observing what's happening when I'm adding this color to that color, and everything's related. So I totally believe that you have what it takes to do way more incredible things than you probably even believe. But I just know it's true because I see what you guys do. I see all your efforts, and even the things that you get discouraged about, Lord. I know that for me, it's sometimes just because I can't see my own paintings the way that other people can. And I know that that happens for you too. So if you guys have any questions, okay, I see one here, right here. I'm going to throw it up. Deborah says, can you recommend a good projector? And honestly, I wish that I could. I have looked recently because I'm thinking about getting one. We had one a long time ago that was a pretty good one. It was one that we used for, we didn't have a TV for a very long time. We actually just use a projector at a wall above a fireplace mantle. And I just would take down the painting and then we'd project the video up there. It was actually really cool, but it started getting, like, the light started burning out little by little. And so little parts of it would be black. So I got rid of it a long time ago, and I don't want to spend as much on it as I did way back then, but who knows? Maybe the price of things has gone up and I have to. But if I find one that I like that's reasonable, I'll let you know. Okay. Okay. I have questions, but I'm sure the answers are sprinkled throughout the demo. Okay. Yeah. Again, where's the reference photo for this painting? Bonnie, it is inside of your membership. So if you go to acrylicuniversity.com, you sign in and you go into what is called the journey, like in the library. What am I trying to say? It's called the journey. You'll find Discover Your Voice. It's in there. It's by month in there. I have a projector. It's great for large paintings. Yeah. That's when I have used it the most. Thank you, Kathy. Really appreciate your prayers for my father-in-law. Will a dock camera work? I'm not sure. I don't even know what that is. So I apologize. Okay, you guys, thank you for joining today. Have an awesome rest of the Friday and a great weekend. You are loved and believed in. I will see you next time.